Hello, my name is Michael and I am from Salzburg in Austria. I am extremely happy and proud to brew coffee for you today amongst all those wonderful finalists from around the world. So, to make you understand my approach to brewing coffee a little bit better, let me share my story with you. It all started a couple of years ago in a small coffee shop in Salzburg, my hometown, where I got my very first cup of specialty filter coffee. And I was so surprised by those flavors inside that cup, so I embarked on the quest to get those flavors into my cup as well. So let me explain what I prepared for you today. As you see, I have self-made filters here, which I produced with a friend, and you could ask, why on earth is he doing that? And there are two reasons for that. Let me explain. First of all, I wanted to make sure that the temperature stays stable inside this filter, also between the pouring cycles. When usually the temperature drops if you use metal, it hasn't got that heat capacity, that keeping capacity. Second reason is I wanted to reduce the brew time a little bit, and that's why I designed bigger holes, as you probably can see. This reduces my brew time using the same grind course I use by 10 seconds, which results in a very fruity and clean cup in the end. Let me talk about the method I'm doing today. I call it the 1-2-3 method because I do 3 pouring cycles of water. 40 grams, 80 grams, and then 130 grams of water. Which brings me directly to the recipe. 250 grams of water at the temperature of 94 degrees inside the kettle, which actually results in a brew temperature at the bottom of the filter bed of 92 degrees. The water I'm using is called third wave water. It's a water which is formulated in the USA to get very close to the specifications suggested by the Specialty Coffee Association. And I tried many waters. This one supported the natural flavors of this coffee best. Second, of course, I need coffee to brew coffee. And I use 16 grams of a very coarse grind of coffee. And I sift out the fines to avoid the resulting flavors in your cups today. The coffee. I was inspired a couple of times already by Rwenzori, and I said, I want a coffee which surprises me. And this coffee for sure did. And let me tell you why. This coffee is from Uganda. Uganda is, it's very close to the equator. And the variety is Nyanzaland. It's a variety which was taken into Uganda from Tanzania via Lake Victoria by an Englishman a long time ago. And it's grown by farmers in Uganda traditionally. So it's a very traditional plant there. They even have it in their gardens sometimes. And then the next step. This farm, where this coffee is from, is just above the Sipi Falls, which is at the slopes of Mount Elgon. Being the oldest extinct volcano in Eastern Africa, it has wonderful mineral-rich soils, which just make every vegetation flourish there very well. And yes, and then the distance to the equator, 150 kilometers. That's very important for the next point I'm going to tell you, because it is about the altitude of this coffee. And now imagine, 2,380 meters above sea level. This is only possible so close to the equator. But that's not everything in the box of surprises for me. Then there was the processing of this coffee. Uganda, I thought, okay, washed coffee. Then I got coffee which is processed. It's a natural dry process, which was developed in Uganda by Rwenzori and Dison, a person working for Rwenzori in Uganda in the Muzungu project. So I start pouring the coffee, so please excuse if I don't look into your eyes all the time. I don't want to do any mistakes here. So, Nyanzaland, Uganda. It is a surprising coffee, the altitude. But very important about the altitude as well is that it comes from a very small farm. It's a farm which just has about 40 coffee plants, and the whole farm is at that altitude. The whole processing happens up there, which takes time and which adds to the complexity. This is all reflected, of course, in the intensity of this cup. Talking about flavors already. You will get a lot of flavors in this cup, I can promise. This is so super special. When I first tried it, I want to say thank you to Rubens for this moment when I tried this coffee first. It's so full of flavors and aromas. So let's talk about the aromas now. The aromas you will get is of magnolia, the beautiful and the sweet and also spicy touch of magnolia. This fragrance. Then you get black cherries, and you also get aromas of molasses. And above everything actually hovers a wonderful note of red wine, which accompanies you throughout the whole cupping process of this wonderful coffee I prepare for you today. Actually, I'm yielding at a brew time of slightly below 2 minutes, so very fast, as I said before. Let's get to the flavors of this coffee. You will find the black cherries again. You will also have dried prunes inside this coffee. You will also find strawberries. I love this flavor in this coffee. And when the coffee cools down, fresh cranberries start to develop with this wonderful bitterness those fresh cranberries have. And then there are dried figs and raisins which add to the sweetness of this wonderful coffee. So 1 minute 57, so just under 2 minutes, as I said. The flavors. The aftertaste is very pleasant of dark, pure chocolate, and personally, this reminds me very much of the variety Nacional, which grows in Ecuador, and it has a very fruity flavor in it. I don't know if you happen to know this cocoa variety. This cup has a high malic acidity coming from red apples which are slightly oxidized already. And this is delivered in a thick and syrupy body, which is very balanced because the acidity I told you before is supported by the sweetness in the cup. So this makes a very nice, balanced, intense, outstanding cup of coffee. I'll be back with you in a second or two. So let me take this moment and also say thank you to one person especially, to Dison in Uganda. I just talked to him yesterday, and I just wanted to make sure that Dison gets this message. My heart is with you. So I'm getting ready to brew the last cup for you now, and I know it's been a long 3 days for all of you. Actually, for all of us, probably. And again, below 2 minutes, as planned. So I do hope that you are, well, I know actually that you are open for surprises, but you have been judging now for 3 days. You have tasted innumerable cups of coffee now, and I want to give you a little present in the end. I hope I can do this. I want to surprise you with this cup. Just that you know why the filters are still on, I want to trap the aroma inside the cups, and when I give you the cup, I would ask you to evaluate the aroma immediately, please. Thank you. Coffee from Uganda. That would be surprise enough for me. All right, so I start lifting off the filters now, then I get ready to you when this cup is ready. So enjoy this cup of coffee. This one's for you, sir. Enjoy this cup of coffee. Madam, enjoy this cup of coffee. So as I said, be ready for a surprise. Thank you. Time.